first thought I had, those tattoos, maybe not the
Yeah.
most badass.
Look, I'm so glad you brought this up.
That hate not love thing.
Yeah. They look great. Don't get me wrong, they look great. But I was the same as you. I did go, what the fuck? Like, when I saw them.
G'day guys, welcome to Two Girls, One BL podcast. We're Amelia and Kels, two friends who love talking about BL so much we decided to make a whole show about it. Join us as we dive into BL series, books, characters, and fan theories. Whether you're new to BL or have been around the fandom for years, we're here to chat, laugh, and unpack all things BL together. So, yay, welcome to episode 1 of Two Girls, One BL podcast. For the next couple episodes, we're going to be discussing Jack and Joker, and that's a show that we're both currently watching and a show that we are actually quite excited to talk about. So, we thought it would be a really good one to start with. To start off, given that we're talking about episode 1 and 2 today, I thought we should go through the show summaries. And when we were doing a bit of research on the show, we were looking at IMDb and my drama list, and like their intros and their summaries are like completely different. So the IMDb summary,
I love the IMDb summary is very short.
yes, the IMDb summary is unreasonably short. In my opinion, it does not do the show justice, but we should go through this anyway. So IMDb says that Jack and Joker is about a notorious and charming thief with exceptional disguise skills must work with a righteous martial artist turned debt collector to pull off an ambitious heist. Will these mismatched partners be able to pull it off? That's it. Sounds like ChatGPT wrote it. It doesn't capture the show at all.
I'm not gonna lie, like I don't think that summary would make me wanna watch the episode. Like if I didn't know anything about it.
It's not the best pitch.
No.
It kind of but the My Drama List introduction summary is way better. Fate brings two men together in a love-hate relationship as they collaborate on a grand heist. Joker leads a double life. Boastful and talented in conversation, he is secretly a notorious thief wanted by the police. Using his exceptional disguise skills, Joker robs wealthy oppressors and redistributes their riches to aid struggling villagers. On the other hand is Jack, a former substitute taekwondo turned debt collector. With a calm and quiet demeanor, Jack instills fear in those he encounters. Despite his intimidating presence, he is a reasonable man who believes in solving problems without force and holds the conviction that the strength one possesses should be used only to protect the weak. To be honest, like I'm not sure those descriptions are the most accurate, having actually watched the show, and I'm not sure I want to watch it after reading that.
No, I agree with that. Like if you were asking me to write a summary of the show, I don't think I'd use a lot of that. Wait, so is this a straight like grab from
Copy from MDL?
Okay, it
Yeah.
really is. Okay, wow. Maybe that's ChatGPT as well.
I don't know, it feels like it.
Should I get into a summary of the episode then? I'll go through the whole summary, I guess. Well, I don't feel like a lot. I feel like episode 1 in general is just obviously a setup sort of for all the characters, their backgrounds and that. So I think a lot happens, but at the same time, a lot doesn't happen as well. So it's like a lot of info to take in. So setting the scene, if you will. So in episode 1 of Jack and Joker, we meet two very different protagonists, Joke and Jack. Joke is a clever but troubled young man who lives in his brother's shadow and secretly operates as the notorious thief Joker, stealing from corrupt businesses. Jack, on the other hand, is an aspiring taekwondo athlete with dreams of escaping poverty, but his hopes are crushed when he's denied a spot on the national team due to a rival with political connections. The two cross paths when Joke, after another failed exam, meets Jack at a bar and they bond over their bad luck. Joke later steals money from a corrupt bank to help Jack, but Jack is mistakenly arrested as the Joker. In the end, Joke turns himself in and Jack is forced into debt collection to repay a loan shark, vowing never to see the Joker again. Like, I'm looking at the length of like the 2 paragraphs. Like, I mean, but that would be a spoiler, I guess, for like episode 1. But I feel like that's almost a better summary for MDL. A little bit. I have to admit, on rewatching it a second time, I don't know if it was because I watched a few episodes, but I enjoyed it a lot more watching it a second time. So
Really? Oh, actually,
yeah,
kind of me too. Me too.
yeah. Because I think like when you first pick up an episode, you're kind of like, okay, what's going on? Who do I need to focus on? You kind of don't know. I don't know. You're just so busy taking in info that you forget to like enjoy it when you're watching it. So that's why I
Yeah.
like rewatching shows and things like that, because you miss things when you watch it for the first time as well. So yeah, much more enjoyable the second time I watched it through.
That's
So
true. To be fair, like when War first appeared in like a school uniform, I didn't know it was him. So it's kind of good to know that in hindsight.
I don't really know the background on YinWar, but I only just watched Love Mechanics like 2 weeks ago. I'd never watched any of I'd never watched any of their content before. But when I first met you and I talked about Thai BLs with you, the first people that you mentioned were Yin and War, specifically
Oh
War.
yeah.
I think you have a slight obsession with War. Let's be real here.
He's just such a good actor.
But yes, I don't really have a lot of background on them other than I guess what you've told me. So
I don't actually follow any like ships or anything, so I don't know anything about them outside of the shows they've done. But I first knew about YinWar when I watched Love Mechanics. I didn't even watch like the short version. I just watched the full series.
so you watched the 2022 like full 10
Yeah,
episodes.
same story. Just give me the one that's like better. So I watched a better one. I like absolutely love how good at acting they are. Like, for me, like that's huge. Their plot was uh mildly annoying. It was very frustrating, and I don't think I could rewatch that, but I just like, yeah, really enjoyed their chemistry and really enjoyed the acting. So like they were someone that I wanted to like I wanted to like watch more of their stuff. Obviously at the time there wasn't more stuff, and so I've waited a long ass time for them to like come up with a new show, which is why I was so excited about this, and like I have very high hopes on how this show is going to go. And also it's produced by them. So I'm just going to read like a couple tweets. First one, Jack and Joker might just be one of the best Thai BLs ever made. Every episode feels like an entire movie. The story is so rich and each character has so much depth and backstory, plus it's hilarious and emotional, not to mention how YinWar invested everything into this masterpiece. And I so agree with that. You can see that a lot of thought has gone to this show.
Absolutely. I didn't even know about the show until what, like a couple weeks ago. I saw it trending on Twitter. It was popping off on Twitter, is all I'll say. So even as someone that was not following it, had no idea about it, I even saw it. Everyone was, yeah, going crazy over it.
Yeah, it's the show of the moment. And also, okay, one more tweet. YinWar's manager said that they invested 25 plus million baht to produce Jack and Joker. Let's keep supporting them. They deserve these series to be a global hit. I also 100% agree with that. That is a shit ton of money to invest into a show. You can see that the show is like not cheap. And, like, no spoilers for the later episodes, but it kind of looks like it gets a bit wacky. So definitely a little bit different. It doesn't look like shit production quality. So I'm like very excited to watch the rest of the show, and I can see the show doing really well.
How much is 25 million baht? Sounds a lot.
That's a lot of zeros. I'm googling it now. 25 1 2 3 4 5 6 1.16 million Aussie dollars.
That's a lot.
And also, like, so far all the episodes that we've watched have not had a ridiculous amount of sponsorships. Whereas, like, if a show was struggling for money, they would be like stuffed full of sponsorships, and this show has not felt that way.
There has been a couple though. There has been a couple, but
Yeah,
I'll let it
that's
pass.
how all the Thai BL survive. Let's be real.
Like there's hasn't been any that I've sat there and I've gone, oh God. There's one that I can think of at the top of my head, but like it made me laugh more than anything. I wasn't annoyed by it.
So I work in advertising, so this is unfortunately an area of interest for me. But I think it's about how well it fits in the context of the show. Like if it makes sense, like go ahead, advertise to me. I don't mind. Like we all need to make money, but like it needs to make sense. At least put some thought into it. Have some sincerity there. So should we jump straight into our thoughts on this? Because I am quite excited. I've been waiting a long time to hear about your thoughts on these.
I loved how it started. I love that it was like in the middle of an action scene.
I feel like the opening's pretty stereotypical. Something big is happening and then pause. How do we get here? A lot of shows open like this.
I didn't hate it though.
I would say, like, my personal opinion, to be honest, like, to see YinWar on screen again, I literally, like, anything would have worked for me. It's like, oh, finally, it's been years.
Whereas I didn't feel like that. This is like the first thing I've watched of them.
True.
So it's like, oh, okay. They're good looking dudes.
There's more to them than that. You'll find out soon. Okay, but my thoughts on that first scene, that was a key scene for me too. And I thought it was really cool because, like, a lot of times it's really hard to set up new characters. The first couple seconds are like when people decide if they want to keep watching a show or not. So I think it immediately sets up their dynamic of like the cat and mouse thing. Like obviously Joke is the one that is the mouse and Jack is the cat in this situation. And I think it's very obvious in that first scene. And I think that, does an excellent job of like setting it up immediately. And it leaves us like quite curious on how they ended up in this situation.
So my next thought was about the title sequence. I love it. I love the song. I love everything about it.
The art.
Yeah, everything. It got me hyped for the episode. I would say I've enjoyed the music for all of the music that they've had in thus far. So
that is so interesting because I can't remember any music in the show.
What is wrong with you? I've got one of the
literally,
songs on my Spotify playlist already.
I might have to like go back and rewatch it. I don't remember any of the music.
No, I loved it.
Yeah.
It was great.
I'll pay more attention. Is it not just like some sort of instrumental?
Yeah, I think the opening title sequence is. And then as far as I know, there's 2 songs I think they've released. I think. They've got like a rock kind of one and then another one that's like a slower sort of ballad type of song. I love that one.
Yeah, that's insane. I literally remember nothing. So I will pay attention to that from now on. This is just goes to show how differently we consume media.
Disappointing. I think like my background, I'm musician, so I think and it's because it's heavily like piano ballad. As soon as I hear the piano, I'm like I hear it straight away. So
in a good way or a bad way?
No, good way. Good way.
Oh, okay.
100% good way. Oh, well, that's hilarious. You didn't even notice the opening title sequence. I was like so hyped for it. I was like, yes.
Really? I was just like, oh, the art's kind of cool. Oh, Yin. Oh, whoa. that's my thought process.
I was going to say, like, I forgot to mention, because you always talked about sort of, you don't like to watch shows as they're airing. You like to sort of wait until they're done so you don't have to wait every agonizing week to watch an episode. And I've always been the opposite. I like to like watch it as it's coming out because then you see all the discussion and, theories, fan theories, and all of the GIFs that have been made, fan edits and all that. So I quite like watching it, even though it's painful waiting every week for an episode. I'm the complete opposite to you, I think. It did take me a while to start watching it, I have to admit. But there was a clip that I saw on YouTube where it's from the second episode that made me want to, I was like, nah, I got to start watching it right now.
Call out the episode when we talk about episode 2. I want to know which one.
Well, I was just going to go, we've kind of got like a lot of background, like character building scenes, I guess, for Joker, and then the same for Jack. The opening kind of scenes that we've got of Joker is just sort of setting the scene for him being a bit of a trickster, a bit of a thief, stealing, someone's wallet in the opening scene to stealing test answers and all that. And then it leads into a lot of his family dynamic, like his dad's an absolute asshole. And then the other thing was the brother. I don't know how to feel about the brother. I don't know if he's going to come into play later on. he didn't really say anything, to be honest. And I was sort of sitting there wondering, like, is he like going to be a bad guy later on? I don't know. I don't know what you thought about that, but I was just sitting there going, like, is he a snitch or something?
So that's what I thought about for the scenes where they were first introducing Joker or Joke, because it sets him up as someone that's like really really smart, but because of how society like and is so relatable as an Asian person, but like because of how specific parts of society, like a lot of parts of Asia, they have a right kind of smart and a wrong kind of smart, and because he is the wrong kind of smart, i.e. like he, like can't score well on a medical exam. He is being kind of like forced to use his smarts and his intelligence for the wrong reason. Because like looking at all, like the scene where he was in the class stealing test papers or like stealing the wallet and stuff, you can tell that he's really smart. So like why does his family keep saying that he's useless if he's actually smart? So yeah, I reckon like, it's just like very typical of Asian culture where you can be really smart, but the society will still think you're like stupid or useless because you're smart in the wrong ways.
I didn't even think about that, actually. I just had such a different upbringing to that. So I didn't even, now that you mention it, I'm like, oh yeah, obviously. But I didn't even think about that when
It's just,
I was rewatching it.
yeah, I think it's just because it's like closer to home.
The only other thing that I wanted to point out was, as some of the with the job that I do, I'm not gonna lie, I lolled at the scene with the Photoshop, uh, the editing of the what do you the what was it, like an acceptance? This is the thing I was gonna
Yeah,
ask
he's
you.
like test.
I don't know why, but they haven't been translating like the disguises on the
On-screen
wall.
text.
Yeah, I was like, I had to like get my Google Lens out and like translate.
That's dedication. I didn't even bother.
Yeah, I did lol out loud with the Photoshop. And from what I heard, I'm pretty sure War said that he actually did that for the scene, like the actual Photoshop edit for it, which is even better.
Honestly, though, like I find it's our job, right? It kind of took me out of the scene because when I was sitting there, I was like, surely you don't know what font they're using. Like, how would you be able to replicate? He was just typing it out. It's
Yeah,
like
because I know, because like when you use Photoshop, doesn't it use like what's the default
it
font?
becomes
It's
a
like
shape.
yeah,
No, but like
it's
fonts become a shape. It's like not you have to guess the font. And
yeah,
like
that's what I
it's
meant. Yeah,
no
yeah.
educational institution is going to use a standard out of the box font for their certificates. I don't know, it just took me out. I was like, that's so unrealistic.
Anyway, did you want to bring up anything else about his background scenes?
No, let's move on to Jack.
First thing that I wrote down is I'm loving the epic comb over hairstyle that Yin sported. It's insane how a hairstyle can age you. Like from this comb over look to the next episode, he looks, in my opinion, he looks completely different just because of
Yeah.
how the hair's parted. I laughed out loud when I saw that. So the next stuff, I guess, were sort of the opening background scenes, I guess, of Jack's character. I mean, I think early on you get a sense that he's sort of, very, hardworking, responsible type character, very much in contrast to the scenes that we were getting with Joke's character. Stands up to bullies. He's clearly very talented.
I have the same thoughts as you as well. Just on the taekwondo scene, that like they set him up as super bubbly and naive and innocent, which, as you know, we would all know, like is going to be very different post the end of episode one. But it sets up his character, yeah, of being willing to like stand up for the weak and help others. And I think that's where their characters like intersect. But at the start, Jack was only willing to do it in like a morally upright way, whereas like Joke was willing to do it the Robin Hood kind of way, steal from the rich and give to the poor.
Should we go into the first scene that they have like together?
So before that scene, one comment that I feel like I really need to make is, as part of Jack's introduction, is the introduction of the Ama or the grandma character.
Oh, I loved her. She was cute.
Yeah, but that is going to be like a really sensitive topic for me because she literally looks like my grandma. Because she's like a typical, well, she's like Thai Chinese, but my grandma's like Chinese, but like Asian lady with permed hair and like the way that they dress is like all the same. The first thing I wrote was nothing better fucking happened to her because she looks like all the old ladies in my family. And you just know, like, when the grandma appears, to like, don't get emotionally attached because she's not lasting very long.
Wow. Morbid much? Oh my god.
I'm sorry, I'm really cynical about this.
So that was the only thought you had.
Yeah, yeah, like, I'm on Team Grandma. You better not kill her off. Like, if they killed her off, I would fly to Thailand and complain in person.
Do you think they will? I think there's a good
I
chance,
really
I'm not
hope
gonna
not.
lie. I feel like someone has to die. I feel like it's this kind of story.
I also think that like Thai shows tend to be they're willing to go further in terms of killing people off.
You think?
I th- I think. Yeah. I think like if I see a grandma in a Thai show, I think there's a definite chance that she might not make it.
Hmm.
And that is against all of my whole being is like wanting to believe that she'll make it because she genuinely reminds me of my own grandma and my grand aunties. Like literally. Oh, I cannot.
I don't know. I don't know if I agree with that. I found maybe it's just the type of Thai BL shows that I've watched, but I've always found that they're more like the opposite of that. I find that there's nothing too sinister in it. Maybe I just haven't, again, I haven't really been in the world for the last 2 years. But the shows that I watched from 2016, 2017, all the way to like 2022, I didn't feel like there was any show that I watched that anything really sinister happened in that. From my memory off the top of my head, I can't think of anything where I don't think I ever cried watching any show or anything like that. I don't recall anything terrible ever happening. Whereas other Korean dramas and Taiwanese dramas feel like they're a lot more intense.
That might be true. They're willing to go there. Okay, that might be true. Maybe I need to reevaluate what I think about these shows.
I need to go through and I honestly can't remember a lot of the shows I watched. I watched a lot,
I might be getting my
but
dramas mixed up, to be honest. I think you're right.
if I was going to introduce sort of a non BL fan into BL, it would probably be with Thai BLs. Like I don't think I would introduce them to like any Taiwanese ones right off the bat. I just think they're way more
Yeah,
intense.
they are a lot lighter. Like they're lighter.
Lighter. Yeah, that's probably a good way to put it. Yeah. Anyway, that's why I think in the end we should probably I think there will be a happy ending. Oh, can you imagine if it's not? Oh my god, that would kill me.
Yeah, it will definitely be a happy ending. I mean, there's no way it won't be. No way.
Now that we say
No.
that, I hope that doesn't
Jinx it.
um, I hope that doesn't jinx it. I really don't.
There's no way. There isn't, the possibility doesn't even exist in my head that there'll be a bad ending.
There has been shows that have been like that though.
Thai BL? I don't think so, surely.
I would say there's very few that have had bad endings.
Like there's some Chinese BL that like end so miserably and leaves you feeling like shit for days. I don't think Thai BL does that to you.
No, I think, and that's what I mean. I think they're lighter in general.
Some of the Chinese ones are like brutal.
So when I first started watching BLs back in 2016, 2017, I would say the consensus was if it's a Chinese BL, it ends horribly.
Is that a rule?
No, the vibe in I guess the community at the time was there's very few BLs that have a happy ending. That's all I remember when I first started watching them.
That is honestly so depressing.
Maybe we haven't watched enough. We need to watch more.
Yeah, I know. We're aiming to fix that. Okay, moving on to their first meeting.
Yeah, their scene in the bar. I mean, as soon as I don't know, it's YinWar. They just work so
They're
well
great.
together. I don't know what it is. I like when they talk about what's chemistry. I don't know. It just they're so interesting together on screen. I don't know what it is. Anyway, this scene, what I loved about it was we kind of just seen sort of nothing really good about the character of Joke. And I don't mean that in a bad way. I mean like his family's basically shitting on him. he's not doing well at school, clearly. And it's sort of like the first time that you see him actually be honest with someone.
Okay, like him being vulnerable.
Why? What stood out to you in this scene?
Nothing, it's not in my list.
Is it really not? I loved it. I think it was just because it's them.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I thought War's acting that was really good in the sense that like he definitely looked really vulnerable. Whereas which is like a complete 180 from when he's like got a disguise on. So that was kind of cool. And I think Yin did a really good job being like this super ignorant, bubbly, naive character. There was such a big contrast to Joke's character. It's not easy. It's like it looks easy when someone acts like all bubbly and naive, but it's like not actually easy to pull it off.
Yeah, I was just going to say, normally it really infuriates me when a character is so dumb. Oh, come on. Like, how can you be this silly? But surprisingly, I didn't feel that I was annoyed by him. I don't know what it was. I found it more endearing than anything.
I agree.
I don't know. I think he played it very well. I don't know. I think
Yeah.
it could have very well, very quickly became oh my God, like, fuck, you're dumb, But
Yeah.
because I don't know
Yeah.
if it was the gummy smile or whatever it was, but I was just like, oh, okay. Like, I'll let this
I think
slide.
he felt genuine.
Yeah.
I just felt that like, oh, this guy's just being really sincere. He might be he might be a bit ignorant, but like, yeah, or like naive. Yeah. Well, it just means he acted it well.
Yeah. I think that's the thing that going and watching another shows, I would say, while this is going on, I've realized just how good at acting they are. Because
Yeah.
I feel like that's an underrated quality a lot of the time when you're watching these types of shows, particularly in the past when I've watched them. I would say the acting hasn't been what you call fantastic, and I think they're very good, actually.
I find them very believable.
Emotional. I think they're very good at emotional scenes, particularly War.
Yeah,
Very
definitely.
good.
Oh, love it.
Yeah. I mean, they're both great, but yeah, particularly, I don't know, War can just seem to cry on cue or something like that. He's very good
His
at
eyes are like basically constantly tearing up in this show,
it.
which is awesome. Like, I think it's just so nice to see like a character that's supposed to be really badass and like he's a thief and like, he does heists and stuff, but he cries all the time. Like, I love that.
All right.
Okay,
Well, the next thing that I had was this could go either way, the alleyway scene. Okay. I had
I have that on my list
Okay.
too.
I don't know how you felt about this scene, but I would say upon rewatch, I liked it better. But when I was watching it, I was laughing. And I don't know if it was for a completely good reason. My kind of thoughts were I was laughing because of the thugs that come into the scene, the three big guys. And I was laughing because I was like, why are they stopping like talk to them? They could probably take down Joke within like 0.2 seconds right now. Like
Yeah,
this
I
dude
know.
literally can't fight at all.
That is the charm of Thai BL or Thai comedy.
I think the humor sort of just goes across my head sometimes. I don't know. It made me lol.
My notes about this scene was curious about the reason for the tone of this scene and why it was so comedic. But to be honest, I would have to be really honest that that is my kind of humor. So I loved it. I was cracking up. Like, I think that the tone that they're going for this drama is like not full Kin Porsche where everything's like really serious. This is a crime drama. They want to be funny as well, and I think that's probably how they do it. I love it though. Like, it breaks up the tension and the serious parts. That's how I love shows like that.
I would say I love the drama. So I love the angst. I wish they would play up the angst even more. I feel like sometimes the humor can just be a little bit like a bit too much.
But can you go like angst, 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 angst with no like break? Because I find that the humor then helps with breaking that up a little bit, making it a bit more tolerable on your heart.
Yeah, I think I would say episode 1, it was a good balance. There has been subsequent episodes, which probably not like if we're just looking at episode 1. But I think there's
Yeah.
been a couple of instances where I'm like, okay, all right, you've had your joke. let's move on.
Move on.
Yeah, so I think that's just a personal preference. I think I just prefer the sort of more serious nature of a drama, I guess. Did you have any other thoughts on the scene?
Not this scene in particular.
I had one more. I, I
Okay,
had one
go.
more. I did lol at Jack. I mean, love Yin, but he is very skinny. Him being able to take down
Oh,
three quite
giant
sizable,
dudes.
yeah, giant dudes. Look, they're clearly wanting to show that he's talented, he's good at fighting and whatnot, but I don't know. I don't know. That made me lol again. But it was still a good scene, I think, in general.
I mean, the fact that they're doing the fighting scenes themselves is so impressive. It's like not easy to do the choreography.
No way. I've been super impressed so far with their fight scenes. Because normally, like, when you get into like a fight scene, there's a lot of like close ups, a lot of like different angles and chopping and editing and all that. But in these fight scenes that we've seen so far, some of the shots lasting quite a long time, and you can actually see them doing like the stunts. And it's been quite
Yeah.
impressive actually so far, I would say.
A lot of times they hide their actors' faces, especially if they're like more famous actors. And
Yeah.
in this one, it's clearly them. Like they're doing their own stunts. It's so good.
I did lol at, them completely ignoring the girl. What's her name? Is it Rose?
Rose.
Rose? Rose?
Rose.
Yeah. That was hilarious.
Yeah, I know. And the fact that she couldn't pick it up,
I found her quite amusing. I didn't dislike her.
I agree. I like her.
I hope they don't turn her into a villainish kind of like character later on, because I feel like that's quite a common theme in a lot of BL shows, is the female character always becomes sort of like the
The villain, the bitch.
villain. Yeah, so I hope that doesn't happen. But anyway, I have two more things.
Okay, you go, because I have no more scenes left.
I would say there was only one scene that really annoyed me.
Okay, go. I need to know.
The whole bank scene. I'm sorry. Look, what the fuck?
The actual heist, you mean?
They did have like that. What was it? Like they had like some sort of message that came up before the scene, like, oh, this is not a depiction of,
The security protocols.
Yeah, that's what it was. Yeah, so I appreciated that. But at the same time, how is the security so lax? Like, I was just dying. I literally laughed the entire way through this scene. I'm not kidding. Belly laughed through it. Just so unrealistic. Did he even show ID when he walked in? The security guard just like, all right, this way, let's go. It's like, what the fuck?
All right,
Like,
I'm gonna get you an Americano. Like,
yeah.
so rude.
Like, what was that? And then it was just like, they just gave him the security code like that. Don't you have like protocol? Like, I feel like even our building has more security protocols in place, and we're marketing, for shit's sake. We don't even work at a bank. I was also like, how does he know? I know he's meant to be like the Joker and he's trickster and all that, but like, how did he know what to do to access the system? How did he know where to go and find the money? Why is there a safe in the office as well?
And then he just pulls out all the cash. He just pulls everything out in cash.
Why is there a mini safe? Normally at a big bank, isn't there meant to be like a big bank vault? I had so many questions as I was watching this. What is going on right now? Did I miss something? The whole thing from start to finish, I was just like, what the fuck?
Suspension of belief.
Yeah, it was a little bit too much for me. But to be honest, this was the only scene where I was going like, okay, what on earth? I think there could have just been a few like things that they could have done to, just even showing ID when he walked in.
Or like doing some research on their protocols.
Like, can you imagine yourself? Not that you were ever going to go rob a bank, but I mean, I would case the joint. You know what I mean? Like I do research extensively, and I get it. Like, this is an hour show. Like, there's only so much you can put into an episode, but I just feel like I had so many questions. I don't know. The scene really frustrates me. I don't know if you can tell.
Maybe if the absurdity of the whole thing was a part of the joke. Like, I reckon that was like how stupid it was a long played out joke. Like, it's meant to make you laugh. because it was so ridiculous.
My problem is when I watch shows, I'm always looking at it, is this from a lens of, is this realistic? I'm not kidding. My face the whole time watching it, I was like, no, no, surely not. In their defense, they did have a disclaimer before the scene, but that didn't stop me from being like, what the fuck?
I think the only time I went like, what the hell's going on? How is this realistic? Is when, yeah, he like went into the vault and pulled out enough cash for someone to start their own schools, fit it into a tiny envelope.
How convenient.
Yeah.
But I was so confused, like how he A, accessed the system, B, why they gave him the code to access the system without ID,
Yeah.
C,
Yeah.
why was it in an office? D, how did he know to go into that office?
And that specific mini safe, like.
And the other thing that got me was, like, what did he think was going to happen? That he wasn't going to get caught? He wasn't wearing a disguise. He literally just straight up walked into a bank with no disguise on.
So first of all, I don't think he intended for it to end up affecting Jack. And I think that's probably like where he realized that he fucked up compared to what he did before. The scene where they show that he realizes that Jack's been affected is when Jack is getting arrested at his house and he's like peering around a corner looking at the whole scene. Like, am I missing something? Or how does he know where he lives?
That as well. And what was he expecting was going to happen? Like, there's security cameras everywhere. You're not wearing a disguise.
You break into a bank and you steal cash. Like, they're going to do something about it.
You're literally giving cash to someone in broad daylight, essentially. And that's another thing. I was like, why are they... I didn't understand the sort of how Jack was picked up as the Joker. Like, can't you see on the security camera that he's gone in there to get a loan and he's been given it by...
The cash.
Why did they assume that... I don't know.
You kind of need to suspend your belief when it comes to things like that in Thai BL.
Because the ending sequence, this is my last thing, is the aftermath of like everything that's happened. Really well done. Particularly the scene with War, Joke with going up to his family. Love that scene. That was really well done. The tone of it, the way it was acted, sort of the disbelief of the parents. I don't know. It was everything from start to finish was really well done. I really enjoyed that.
It was really dramatic, and I'm glad they kept it serious as well. Where like he even knelt down to his parents.
I like that they didn't gloss over the fact that, you know, consequences for their actions. Kind of like that it sort of went straight there immediately after it happened. Like, you know, they didn't gloss over the fact that he's literally just robbed a bank, you know. Yeah, and I guess it's the first time you see sort of the character of Joke, I guess, doing something good for the right reasons. I mean, even though it was of his own making, it's sort of the first time you see him doing the right thing.
I think it says a lot about his character. Yes, he's willing to wade in murky waters when it comes to issues with like you can steal, but like only from certain people and whatnot. I think it says a lot about his character, though, that like the moment it affects someone that's actually innocent, that he owns up to it like immediately. And I think like that says so much about him as a character.
But I will admit that even though I don't really like what happened to Jack, I like the fact that he's already shifted from this naive sort of happy-go-lucky to, I don't know, a bit more serious, not as silly. And I mean, I don't like that he's lost the sort of fun, happy side of him, but I like that he's not naive, I guess. I love the very ending scene of the episode between the two of them in the back of the car.
Oh, and the contrast of like both of them heading to like the next part of the story.
Yeah. Anyway, I didn't... My thoughts overall, I literally wrote minus the bank scene. Really well done episode, I thought.
Yeah, a solid intro.
Solid intro. I think normally when I start shows, intro episodes, it takes me a lot to get into them, but once I've sort of finished a show, the intro episodes I always seem to go back to and rewatch quite a lot. So I feel like that's going to happen for this show. 100%.
Okay.
I think. Yeah, definitely. Yep. I don't know if you had any other final thoughts, your overall thoughts on the episode.
I think it was good to get context. It's like it helped me to learn a bit more about the main characters. It briefly introduced the side characters that would be featured more heavily in episode two. But yeah, in general, I think it did a really good job in like the hour that it had to quickly introduce us on the dynamics between Jack and Joke, give us an insight into their characters and I guess their personalities, but also like their backstories, knowing that at the end it's all going to change. So yeah, it's a really good setup and it puts us in a really good position to be excited about the next episode.
I mean, I was excited to watch the next episode, so they've clearly done something right.
Me too.
All right. Well, I think that's it for episode 1.
So this is the summary of episode two. In episode two, Joker gets out of jail with new tattoos and a list of ways, 100 ways to make it up to Jack. He discovers that Jack is now a local debt collector working for the evil boss. When Joker tries to apologize, Jack is furious and nearly kills him but spares his life. Joker enlists two of Jack's debtors, Tattoo and Hoy, to help gather information on Jack. They reveal that Jack is only working for the evil boss because he holds Jack's parents' ring and he doesn't actually want to be evil. So Joker tries to steal Jack away from the evil boss, forming a reluctant alliance with Tattoo and Hoy. Joker also begins to realize that Jack is still a kind and good person, though now hardened by circumstance. The episode ends with Jack being forced to beat up Joker by the evil boss. Despite exchanging blows, there's clear tension and attraction between the two. Joker stops the debtor from attacking Jack, but Jack blames Joker for his troubles and tells him to stay out of his life. Alone, Joker ends the episode by breaking down in tears.
I'm not going to lie, I'm dying at evil boss.
Does he have a name or is he just evil boss? Like what is it?
I think he does, but I can't think of what it is. That's so bad.
They just call him boss, I think. But we will keep calling him evil boss because that I think is a really good description of his character. I'll jump straight into my thoughts. So that opening scene is the first thing I wanted to say. Like 5 years later, Joke's coming out of prison. First thought I had, those tattoos, maybe not the
Yeah.
most badass. Like,
Look, I'm so glad you brought this up.
that hate not love thing.
Yeah. Okay, I literally have the same note. There's nothing wrong with the tattoos. They're great tattoos. But I was thinking more in the context of how does he have such nice tattoos while being in prison?
Yeah, they're fine line tattoos.
Yeah, like wouldn't they be more of a hack job?
Yeah.
The ones on his hands and the ones on his arms, believable. Like I could see like someone doing that.
Like a stick and poke.
They look great. Don't get me wrong, they look great. But I was the same as you. I did go, what the fuck? Like when I saw them, I was like, damn, they're like so well done. Did they get like the tattoo artist into the prison to like put them on?
That's what I thought. You know,
And,
one
like,
of it
they're
has
coloured.
colour in it.
They're colored as well. No shade. This is no shade.
It looks good. It looks good.
It looks too good. That's what we're saying. It looks too good.
Did I text you this when I was watching it? I was like, those tattoos, if this were a GMM TV show, they would be selling temporary tats of those tattoos.
Yeah, you
Like,
did.
it's so-
Yeah, you did. Yeah.
So yeah, that was my first thought. If you're going for prison hard ass, I'm not sure that's it. If you're going for like really cool indie guy, like, you know, maybe.
I know it's such a trivial thing, but I did lol at that. I'm not going to lie.
Okay, moving on. So the first thing I noticed was like in that scene, you go from like Joke changing from his like red prison outfit to a red top. And I think they immediately like established red as this like motif in the show. I'm not sure if you've noticed it later ones, but the whole show has like red as such a big, strong theme. So I think in this case, there's also like anger and you know like love, excitement, blah blah blah, like it's just so interesting because when we move on to Jack, he's like all black post like becoming a debt collector, but it's almost like Joker's the one with like all of the emotions and raring to like reconnect with Jack, and Jack is like all black and like I'm kind of like dead on the inside. Don't talk to me. I don't want to see you ever again. I found that was so strong in the start of episode 2.
That's so interesting. I didn't even think of that, but now that you've pointed it out, now I'm thinking about it. That's such a good point, actually. His whole first scene, actually, Jack, he's all in a whole black suit. That's right.
Like he's lost all color, whereas like the other guys like got the color of passion. He's like over here, like not stopping, not letting Jack's rejections get to him. And I think, yeah, like that shows their dynamic from the start. But I think color plays a huge part in the next couple episodes as well. So let's just leave it at that. Well, my next scene is Jack and his 5 years later introduction as a debt collector. And my first notes were amazing suit, amazing hair.
Yes, totally agree.
I love his suit. He looked amazing.
He looks so good. Holy shit.
Glow
When he
up.
when he walked down the stairs, I was like, fuck.
So is this the same guy?
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. I was sort of sitting there going, damn, he's looking good.
He looks so good.
I love him with the longer hair. The longer hair really suits him.
Agreed. The curly bangs, not so much. So their scene when they meet, Joke was like hiding behind the snack cart and he comes out and they like actually meet. I thought their acting there was really, really amazing because like Joke went from being really like excited and hopeful that they're finally meeting again, like, oh, it's me, don't you recognize me, to like really desperate very quickly. That subtle change in his facial expression was so good. I think War does that really well.
I have a lot of thoughts about those scenes. I would say episode 2 is probably my favorite episode.
Okay.
This is probably the episode I've rewatched the most, and it's because of what we're about to talk about, the first confrontation scene, and then the subsequent confrontation scenes that they have. They're just so good.
Okay, spill your thoughts.
I guess their first interaction 5 years since they last met. So well done. The angst. I just love angst. I think I'm a sucker for the sort of the haters to lovers trope. Anytime there's sort of a angsty vibe going on or confrontational scenes like that, I'm like, yeah, this is bread and butter for me. I really enjoy it.
You like working for it?
Yeah, it's just, I don't know. I love the shift of, like, Jack's basically a different character, in a way. He appears, anyway, to Joke as a completely different character. I don't know, just the whole scene. I keep rewatching it.
I think it was really well acted. I didn't need to actually see Jack spit on the notebook. I feel like that was a bit TMI.
Oh, there is one thing I forgot. When he breaks the door down to go into Hoy and Tattoo's apartment. Love that. I don't know why. I was like, ooh, that was a good door kick.
I'm into it.
Yeah. The first scene of him like walking down, they had like the leaves like blowing across like in the shot, and then it like pans up to
and
him.
then like the rock
And he's,
music
like,
playing in the background.
Yeah, and then he like walks down the stair. I was like, oh boy, all right, here we go. I don't know what it was. Kicking it open, I was like, damn, that's a good door
You
kick.
can do it to my door.
Yeah. I think that's in the title credit, the one where he walks down.
Yeah, that's where he gets introduced.
Yeah, great shot. Whoever shot that, great shot. Love it.
Good job.
So good.
Do it more.
Yeah.
Okay, so my next scene is the scene where Joke goes to Jack's company. The one where, yeah, he goes and like speaks to his boss. Like my thoughts from that scene is like it's really obvious that Joke kind of already sees through Jack's facade of being a tough gangster, because he kind of knows that he can push his buttons and that he can tease him. Whereas like I reckon if he knew that like Jack actually became this like proper hard ass gangster, he probably wouldn't have acted the way he did. Like that fight scene was, I don't know how to describe it, but like it was still cat and mouse, but different. Joke was just teasing him the whole time, and Jack was like, fighting, trying to be like all tough and I'm a badass the whole time.
Are you talking about like when they go into he like pulls him aside into
Yeah,
that
in the
room?
room and they start fighting.
Okay, so this is the scene. I saw a fan edit clip on YouTube. You know when he goes like that under his chin, like that?
Yeah.
And then Jack looking at him? That was the shot that I was like, oh, I want to go and watch this show. That was it. That was the moment. Do you know what I find hilarious about it though? Is when he gets kicked in the chest and he goes to the floor and he does that like silent scream. I don't know why.
Yeah, he obviously like faking it.
I don't think he was faking it. Like he got like fully kicked in the chest.
I don't know. I feel like he could have been faking it. Like he was just like being really dramatic by in a way of flirting.
Oh yeah, he was being. I think it hurt though, but it was the way like Raw screamed. I don't know what it
Yeah.
was. I don't know. It makes me laugh. That whole cat and mouse, as you called it, and just the angst of that scene is just chef's kiss. I love it.
I would say it was probably the best scene of the episode.
Yeah, I will say though, the following scene with him giving the guard a massage was a bit weird.
It's my kind of humor. I love it.
You find that kind of stuff funny.
I love it. I
I don't
love
know.
it.
I have a completely different viewpoint on it. I love the next sequence though. Jack going over to, I don't know the character's name, the one that's got a debt. This is probably my second most watched scene. I love this scene. Again, just I think their third one already, their third confrontation scene. So well done, so well acted. And the thing that I really loved was after Jack leaves is when he's sitting up on the wall and he's like, looks like he's about to cry. Mad props to War for that scene because the emotion
So
on his face.
believable. Yeah.
Ah, so good. He looks so devastated in that scene. Like, oh man, I've really fucked this guy up so much. Yeah, it's just so well done. I love the whole sequence.
But between this fight scene and the one from the scene before in like the gangster's office, I don't know if that's where their new dynamic starts up, where it's like quite flirty. Whereas 5 years ago, when they interacted in the bar and everything, I think it felt very brotherly, like Joke was the big
Oh.
brother. Whereas like when they met again, I think I think Joke's kind of decided maybe in prison or like when he was leaving. I actually think he probably has feelings for Jack. I felt like he's had feelings from the start, which is why their first confrontation and their first fight was so flirty on Joke's end.
This was one question I wanted to ask you is sort of who do you think sort of had the attraction or the feelings first? Because for me, in the opening episode, like the first episode, that whole sequence, like at the bar, all I got from that scene was how interested Jack was in Joke.
Really?
He was the one that kept coming to him, like kept trying to talk to him. Later on in the alley, like he picks up the wallet and tries to go and find him, and you know what I mean. And even when they're walking to the taxi afterwards, like you know how they're like sort of just talking amongst themselves, and the girl is sort of just talking to herself essentially, which is interesting because what I've seen online with the discussion is, yeah, everyone thinks that Joke has caught feelings first, whereas I don't know. I saw it the other way in the first episode. I felt like Jack was super interested in Joke, particularly in that bar scene. Yeah.
I didn't get romantic feelings like at all.
Not necessarily romantic.
Yeah, it felt like he was looking up to him.
He was very interested, is what I would have said though.
Yes, but like in a platonic way,
Yeah,
like
I
without
guess.
feelings. That's the
Yeah.
vibe that I got. It kind of felt like in that scene when they were walking with Rose that the reason why, so they were really getting along, and the reason why they didn't pick up on her interest is just because they're both into guys. Like, but they weren't into each other yet. That's the kind of vibe that I got. That like Jack was just like bubbly and naive, saw like Joke as someone that is like an older brother. I felt a big distance in age in the before scenes, whereas like after he hardened up, they felt more equal and kind of like emotionally immature, maturity wise on the same level. And I definitely think that Joe fell first. Yeah.
I don't know. That for me, that whole bar sequence, it might not have been romantic, like as you were saying, but I think sort of it could have been, it was just unrealized on like his behalf. I don't know. That's the vibe I got from it early on. But then when I got online and everyone was saying, oh yeah, he felt like Joke fell first, I was like, oh, okay. I didn't think that at all. Like,
Well, that's potential. Like, he was too young to know that he was into Joke, but he was subconsciously always interested.
whereas I feel like Joke, I think, liked him, but because he was, because of what he was doing in his life, he was just like, oh, I'm never going to have someone. And so he never really thought much of it. He slips away at the bar unnoticed without saying goodbye. He slips away in the taxi without saying goodbye. They catch up again at the bank. He goes to ask for his number and he scoots off. You know what I mean? So I feel like there was multiple instances where, I don't know, Jack seemed way more interested. It might not have been initially romantic, but he was, yeah, reaching out to Joke more, I thought.
I could see that. I can see that interpretation. That's really interesting. I definitely did not think about it in that way. I also noted the scene with Tadu and Hoi and how they also tried to screw over Joke, where they tried to like kidnap him. First of all, the humor in that scene, I can probably already guess from our conversations that you were not into it, but I absolutely was. I was like, I love this shit.
Do you like the characters of Hoi and Tatu?
First impressions, I like them in this scene because of this scene. Like, they're dumb as fuck. The kidnap scene was so funny. Like, how can you go from being the kidnapper to the kidnappee? And it was just like next level stupidity.
The whole thing, as you said, the humor probably just goes way over my head. My first impressions of the characters were I didn't feel anything, but I didn't really have many opinions about them, to be honest. But I get the vibe
Okay.
that you quite like them so far.
The next one, when they have that chat on the dining table and Tadu reveals that Jack's actually just being forced to behave like a gangster. He's not actually like a piece of shit now. I really like seeing like Joke's look of relief.
I I knew that was coming, but a part of me was a little bit sad that he wasn't like a bit more of a baddie still.
Like, be willing to go all the way. It's okay to like corrupt your character sometimes.
Exactly, like kind of like Joke's character, like he's been to prison. Like I count on one hand how many shows I've watched in Asian dramas where the character has gone to prison. It
Yeah.
doesn't really happen that often, and so there's some baggage with the character. I think there was a part of me that wanted the show to be about bringing him back to this lovable, fun character that Joke initially met. I like that he's not an asshole, but at the same time, I was hoping like, oh, I wish he could have just been like a bit more of a morally grey character.
I agree. It kind of feels like they brought him halfway. Like, he's willing to do all this shit, but he doesn't actually mean it. But like, oh my God, just mean it. It's fine.
I don't hate it at the same time as well, but I don't know. I feel like they could have played with it a lot more if he was sort of a bit more of that evilish type character, but I understand why they didn't go that direction. It would have been super interesting to see how they like navigated that, but anyway, that was my thought watching it, was sort of like, oh, okay, he's still goody two shoes, Jack. I guess that's okay.
Yeah, I agree. I would have rather he not be squeaky clean. That would have been very interesting. And also, I think it would have been really interesting to see how Yin would have acted that out. Jack sitting in his house. I really like how it shows like the thought that goes into their set design, because it's the lack of furniture and decorations on the wall. It like shows their poverty, but then also the dining chairs and the altar in the background sets up their Chinese background, their Chinese heritage, without actually needing to say anything. Those Chinese dining chairs are like stuff you'd find. Like, I have relatives who are very like traditionally Chinese who have that in their homes. And the altar is like, I have one back home. My grandmother has one. The set design is so well thought out. I loved it, and I feel like I had to say something.
I had one more comment.
Go.
It was the very final scene. All I have to say is, why does War look so good as a chick?
Oh my god, I have those notes. Oh my god, I had one more. I had one more on another page and I didn't scroll. I guess we're ending on the same note.
Damn. Like, I was sitting there going, wow. Like, he pulls that off so well.
Last comment I have to make about that scene, the ending scene though, is that yeah, I thought that like they got a guest appearance from like Tiffany from SNSD or something. If not for the dimples, I wouldn't have known. So yes, War is a gorgeous woman. That's about it for today. We will be back next time with episodes 3 and 4, and really looking forward to those because, in my opinion, more happens in it than episode 1 and 2. I think that's it for now.
Thanks for tuning in to Two Girls and One BL podcast. If you enjoyed our discussion, don't forget to subscribe to us and leave us a comment.
We'd also love to hear your thoughts, so follow us on socials, YouTube, and Spotify at Two Girls One BL podcast. See you next time.
Bye!
Dun, ding.